do you feel about that new intro? Really selling out here. Nah, just kidding. It's not like anybody's watching these videos anyways. Anyways, now that I've got you all riled up, Chris Echo back to discuss another way to backup and digitize your cartridge-based games and their game saves. So you might want to digitize your collection to play on the PC or backup your game saves before replacing the battery within the cartridge. This is where the Open Source Cartridge Reader comes in, or OSCR for short. This is an open source project where you source the parts yourself and build it, although there are vendors that you can purchase part kits from, as well as pre-assembled cartridge readers that I'll also link to in the description. The OSCR that I built is version 5, which covers NES, SNES, N64, Genesis, Master Drive, as well as Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. You can also build or purchase various adapters to make this compatible with a ton of other cartridges, such as Game Gear or Virtual Boy. I went the route of buying a part kit and assembling it myself, which cost me roughly $125. This will be more if you need to purchase any of the required tools, such as a soldering iron. I'd suggest going through the what to buy, the recommended tools, and the how to build guides first that I've linked to in the description to determine if this is something that you want to build yourself. The What to Buy guide also contains links to buy pre-picked kits to assemble yourself, as well as where to buy the pre-built OSCRs. Be aware that if you do plan to build this yourself, it will require a lot of soldering. A good understanding of basic electrical circuits and components helps. The assembly may take a few hours depending on your experience with these type of projects. Patience is required, and be ready to do some troubleshooting when things don't work. You'll start off flashing the Arduino board, followed by a ton of soldering. So much soldering. Early on, you'll do one of your first tests with a Game Boy game. If all is good, keep soldering. Finally, get it all into the case. Once I had everything assembled, I tested games from each console supported by the OSCR and moved the games and the game saves into OpenEMU. I had a few games that received checksum errors when reading, but I found that cleaning the cartridge pins with an eraser and 90% isopropyl alcohol got things working again. I guess all those years of blowing into our cartridges took a toll. If you're moving your game saves into an emulator, you may have to convert it using one of the converters in the description. I also found that NES game saves, which fortunately there aren't many cartridges with this feature, save as a .bin file, but OpenEMU uses the .save type. I discovered looking in the hex editor that the .bin and .save files were actually the same. I just had to change the file extension for OpenEMU to be able to read it. Either way, just be ready to do some research if you have to convert your game saves. After assembling the OSCR, converting game saves and testing was the longest part of digitizing my collection. So there you have it. The Open Source Cartridge Reader will allow you to back up and digitize your cartridge-based games and game saves. Let me know what questions you have in the comments, as well as any suggestions for future videos. Thank you for watching.